Welcome to LifeBlood. This is George G, and the time is right. Welcome to today's guest, strong and powerful Kyle Jones. Kyle, are you ready to do this?
Yeah, how's it going, man? Always a good morning and always a great day.
Amen. Kyle is the co-founder and COO of iCRYO, recovery and wellness for the body and mind. Excited to have you on. Kyle, tell us a little bit about your personal life, some more about your work, and why you do what you do.
Man, this podcast must be three days long then for me to share all that. But no, it's honestly love sharing the story of iCRYO. Me personally, I've always been into health and wellness since I can remember. My father had me as a multi-sport athlete growing up since I was 4 years old. Played every sport that he could possibly put me into, and I love it. It did a few things for me, as a young adult. It put structure in my life. It kind of kept my mind into always wanting more and achieving more, and really just striving to, there's a term I used to use, goal getter. And I love to just achieve goals, set my eyes on something, my sights on something, and not just be a singular approach to achieving that goal, but putting people around me that are smarter than me and achieving those goals as a team. And I would say that's one of the big reasons why iCRYO is where it's at today, is not because of just me, right? I mean, I had the initial vision, I had the idea, I brainstormed and thought of what this could be, but without putting a massive team of people that are smarter than me around me, iCRYO wouldn't be where it is today. So, I always give 100% credit to my team, my executive staff, the rest of the staff, the corporate office. And for me, growing up, sports was everything. And I realized as I started to pursue my degree in my undergrad, I got a full ride scholarship to play football. So that was amazing, right? And every kid coming out of high school thinks they're going to go pro, right? And I kind of took a step back, and a mentor of mine at the time was my coach. And he actually saw the writing on the wall before I did, and he pulled me aside after my freshman year, and he said, "Kyle, I'm gonna give you a real tough decision here. I'm going to offer you another full ride scholarship, but as your mentor, I'm going to tell you to decline it." And he said, "I think you have something more in you're passionate about more of what's off the field, right? Like what you're eating, what you're doing to recover, how you're sleeping, and more than you are on the field, right?" And he said, "Man, you're just laser focused on things of recovery." And so I took his advice. I came back home. I tried to figure out what it was, what my calling was in life. And I remember reading an article back in 2010 or so, and it was the top 5 most rewarding jobs on the planet at that point in time. And I think the third one was physical therapy. And it caught my attraction because it was basically going and describing you were the person that was responsible for, a 75-year-old senior citizen that couldn't get on the ground and play with his grandkids to be able to do that pain-free, right? So you couldn't put a monetary figure on that. It was just something that was super rewarding. So I did just that. I went into my doctorate program and to PT school, got my undergrad in exercise science, and that led me into just the world of recovery as we know it today. And this was a decade ago, right? And so I think it was just a testament to see life throws curveballs at you, and change is not always bad, right? You just have to learn to accept that change and make it the best that it can be. And I fully believe that you're guided amongst life to make life-changing decisions. And if you don't, then you're stuck stagnant, right? You're stuck in the same place. So I always entertain change. I always interchange evolution, and it's got me where I am today. So as far as that's concerned, that led me into working at a PT clinic here in Houston, outpatient clinic, and just stumbled across cryotherapy back in 2012. I was blessed to be one of the first in the United States of America to even know what cryo was.
Mm-hmm.
And my business mind just started turning, man. My entrepreneurial spirit just started kicking. And I actually went so far, I'll make a long story short, went so far as to drop out of PT school. I didn't finish my doctorate program, and I went full on board in with cryotherapy. I ended up managing that operation at the PT clinic. We bought a couple cryo chambers. We were treating patients. We were treating, we came up with some membership models and packages for the public, and it caught like wildfire. And I think there was 2 things that really stuck out to me. So on the business perspective, it took off. We had no idea what it was going to do. I mean, it was generating tens of thousands of extra revenue that we weren't expecting. But on the personal side, on my passionate side, we were discharging patients weeks ahead of time. We were dealing not just with physical issues, but mental problems, sleep, anxiety, stress, depression, and seeing this firsthand, it just consumed me. It consumed everything about my life. And so, yeah, in 2015, I spun off and I launched the first iCRYO location. In 2016, 17-ish, my dad got involved. Me and him co-founded the franchise together in 2017. And since then, it's been a whirlwind. We've got almost 250 locations awarded across the United States. We'll launch our second country this year. We're due to open another 40 locations this year alone. And our business model has us slated to do 1,000+ locations here in the States. So it has been a roller coaster.
It's awesome. Congratulations on all that.
Thank you.
And through all of that, you're still a competitive professional athlete.
Yeah, so I actually I transitioned several times through my life. When I dropped out of PT school, I didn't take my second year option to pursue football. I transitioned from football into powerlifting. I kind of changed gears in my competitive nature. I powerlifted nationally for about 6 years. I got a couple gold medals, couple gold titles. So I kind of had reached the pinnacle at that point in that sport. So I switched gears again, paid a little bit more attention to nutrition, the aesthetics more than the strength. I went into bodybuilding for 6 years, got my professional card in a couple organizations. So once again, reached the pinnacle in bodybuilding. And then right then and there, my sixth year of bodybuilding, it was 2019. And that's when iCRYO really took off. We sold, it was about 75 or 80 locations in 1 year. And iCRYO just started to consume all of my time. So I had to put shows on the back burner. I had to put, powerlifting meets, everything else in my life just became secondary. iCRYO became my firstborn child. So I had to pay attention.
Yeah, it's wild. And it's clear when you go to iCRYO's site and you're checking it out that you really are putting people first. It's in all your language, and it's your employees, and then the people you're serving, your clients, your customers, patients, however you refer to them. Not everybody's going to have your drive, Kyle, right? How and you recognize the value of people. How do you go about managing, developing your people, knowing that not everybody's going to be, I don't want to say that you're a psycho, but probably a little bit.
Yeah, you got to be a little bit crazy. I always explain to people when we hire people at iCRYO or you become part of the family, I said, you got to be a little bit crazy to work here, guys. But it's fun though. We consider everybody family. I mean, to be honest, we've hired a couple new folks here recently, and I just get really close to everybody that's in the organization. I want to know who they are. I want to know what makes them tick. For me, it's all about unleashing the person's power that they don't know they even have. And sometimes the world just beats you down, right? The world fills you with negativity. The world tells you you can't, you won't, you shouldn't. And I try to exchange the exact opposite, right? That you got to give that transfer of belief to somebody to believe that they could do it. And I think that's something that iCRYO does best. And the company is founded amongst, coaching people, not really employing or instructing people. I really don't like the job title approach. I'm more of like the team camaraderie and the collaboration. It's in a lot of our culture, a lot of our mission statement. We talk about coaching people and mentoring people. And, if somebody does something wrong, that's fine. That's okay. We're human. We make mistakes, but how do we learn from that? How do we take what we just did wrong and perfect that and make it right? And there's one thing that I tell people all the time, and people ask, how do you achieve this? How did you get to this goal? How did you launch iCRYO at the age of 24? And how are you doing some of these things? And I always tell them two things. Number one, everything I do in life is a mistake, and you have to learn from that mistake. I have failed my way to the top. And that's what I express to people all the time. Nobody in life does things alone. So the moment you realize that a team can accomplish more than an individual, that's step one. Secondarily to that, you have to be ready to fail. You will fail more times than you succeed, but that one success is a huge leap in the right direction. That one failure, it's a minor setback. So for me, it's understanding that team is everything, and that failures will lead to success, and you have to learn to accept that.
Yeah, amen. You sort of answered my question. I imagine that you are a formulaic kind of a person. You understand your nutrition, your physical exercise, all of these things, and so you sort of figure out steps. But then it's a function. It's life is emergency after emergency. It's stuff not going right. It's needing to pivot. How do you think about when you're running into a problem? Is it, I need to really change a lot of things? I need to just tweak it a little bit. How do you think about that?
So when I change something in anything, it could be something small in my life, could be a very massive life-changing decisions. Honestly, the first thing I look at is what are the pros on this? What are the things on the upside I could gain from this? And then obviously you have to look at the negatives, right? What are some of the things that could go wrong? For me, there's always going to be something that could go wrong, but that can't startle you, or that can't put so much fear in you that you don't do it. I think honestly, the term failure to launch, majority of people, that's the problem. They get so scared and consumed about, the fear of what could go wrong that they never launch. That failure to launch is such an underutilized term in my mind, because for me, it's what prevents a lot of people from reaching not success, but significance in their life. For me, I've never gone through life wanting to live a successful life. I want to leave this planet knowing that I made a significant impact in the people around me. So live a life of significance, not success. That's kind of one of the mottos that I live by. And I would say to the time of when you go to pivot into something, just take a consideration and look at, are you making a significant impact with this pivot, with this decision, right? So if I'm looking to change gears in my career, if I'm looking to change gears in my relationship status with a friend, with a family member, with my significant other, if I'm looking to do something from a hobby perspective, I always take a look and I say, is this going to impact me or the people around me in a significant way? And if it's not, well, maybe you shouldn't be doing it, right? But if you look at it and say, well, golly, if I do this, my mother could have a better lifestyle. Or if I change my diet, not only am I going to be healthy for me, but I'm going to be healthier for my children, right? I'm setting a good example. So I'm always looking at the choices that I make, the pivots that I make in life. Are they making a significant impact in the people that rely on me the most?
I love it. That's an awesome framework right there. So going and doing your first franchise, the first franchisee, the first store, everything. I mean, amazing, exciting, terrifying. And now
Yes.
you're talking about having 1,000 biggest learnings, or maybe I don't even know how to ask that question other than just to say that.
So it's funny. The first franchise location for us was probably the most terrifying. And you want to talk about making a move. So once again, we started the company with cryotherapy was really it. We've surrounded the cryotherapy division with other things. We do IV infusions, we do infrared saunas, we do body sculpting. We do a lot more than just cryo at this point, but it started with just cryotherapy. So in my head, I imagine cryo being a little bit more popular in warmer markets, Texas, Florida, Nevada, stuff like that. And our first franchise we sold in upstate New York, Albany, New York, where it snows, 4 or 5 months out of the year, right? And it was crazy because not only did we put our first franchise in a cold weather state, but it wasn't even a big city. When I tell people we launched our first location in New York, they're like, oh man, inner city, Manhattan, tons of money. And I'm like, no. We went into a small town called Latham, New York. It's a city of about 19,000 people.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. I look back and I'm like, we were insane. We were crazy. And I remember I flew out there for the grand opening. The franchisee, Eric Glimman, he's actually a really good friend of mine today. We've forged a great friendship over the years. He's probably one of the best people I know. And honestly, he had to convince us to do it. I was completely against it. I said, there's no way, like our first one, that's insanity. And he goes, Kyle, I'm going to make this happen. I am going to make this happen. I mean, he literally through his life and pivoted everything that he had done for the last, 20 years, and he went all in. And I said, look, I believe in this guy, Eric. And we flew out there the day before the grand opening. A blizzard came through. About 14 inches of snow hit the ground, and I'm sitting here looking out the window like, what are we doing? What are we doing here? The grand opening day was nothing short of success. It was nothing short of just clarity around what we were doing was the right decision. We had about 400 people come through in about 5 hours. It was electric. I mean, he consumed towns from an hour away. People were driving, and that location just exploded. He bought 5 more locations in that area.
Wow.
He's opened up 2 more. Yeah, our first location for us was clarity around the brand was real, the business model was real, and the operations of this business we had a floor plan, right? And we built upon that, right? We built several layers to this business model since then. But so yeah, the first one was terrifying, man. The first one was wild, and then seeing it mold and evolve and really tackle not just cryo but the recovery space itself. More people now are looking at ways to prevent certain issues and maintain a healthy lifestyle than ever before. It's wild. One of the reasons why I decided to go into PT school outside of the reward of helping others was I remember reading an article back in 2012, 13, maybe. There was a guy, it was a small article, it wasn't anything big, a guy that was basically claiming that the decade of 2020 to 2030, mind you, this was 8 years prior, would be a decade focused on recovery. People would stop worrying about what they're doing on the field, right? Whatever that is, whatever your field is, and start worrying about what they're doing off the field to be the best version of themselves on the field. And that just hit me from home. I just was like, man, people are going to start to pay attention to what they should be doing to perform better during the day, think clear, sleep better. And something hit me pretty hard. I say this a lot, and I love when people really sit and they think about it. A lot of people say, if I'm a father, common statement you'll hear is, I would die for my kids. And I say, that's great, but would you live for them? And they sort of sit there and look at me, and I say, look, don't kill yourselves for your children or for the people around you. Do the things to make yourselves the best version of you for them, right? Number one, you need to be on this earth to see them get married, to see them reach the pinnacles in their life. Don't kill yourself so you can't see those things. I mean, it's more rewarding to live for others than to die for others because they rely on you. So for me, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but for me, those are some of the biggest things that impact my life. And I think, going back to that first location that we opened and seeing sites of now 1,000, it's how can I make myself the best version of me for this company? And I try to instill that in every single one of our employees.
Amazing. I love it. Well, it makes a lot of sense how you've been so successful, Kyle. Congratulations, man. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. Where can people learn more about you? How can they learn more about potentially franchising with iCRYO? Give it to us.
Yeah, so I love to connect personally as well. You guys can go to the business platforms, iCRYO.com. It's iCRYO.com. Same thing on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Use simple at iCRYO. If you want to connect with me personally, it's at Kyle William Jones on Instagram. And once again, LinkedIn, Kyle W. Jones. So love to connect with people, whether it's wellness, whether it's business, whether it's personal. I'm a very outward facing person. People know me. They're like, you're kind of out there. So love to connect with people. And whether it's about business or whether it's just about personal goals, you guys can always reach out.
Awesome. Well, if you enjoyed this as much as I did, show Kyle your appreciation and share today's show with a friend that also appreciates good ideas. Go to iCRYO.com. It's iCRYO.com. Find them on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I'll list all those in the notes of the show. Thanks again, Kyle.
Thank you.
And until next time, keep fighting the good fight. We are all in this together.